Transfiguration. Transfiguration isn't your average wave the wand and see what happens type of magic. This is serious business. Professor McGonagall runs that classroom like a military base. Crisp, precise, and zero nonsense. The goal of this class is to learn how to change the very essence of something. A mouse into a cup, a matchstick into a needle, or if you're really advanced, a human into an animal. Something called animagus transformation. But don't get ahead of yourself. McGonagall would probably turn you into a teapot if you tried that on day one. What makes Transfiguration wild is how technical it is. Every flick, every word, every ounce of intent matters. You can't just feel the magic, you have to control it. And that's what separates a skilled witch or wizard from a reckless one. One wrong move, and you're not fixing your mistake, you're sweeping it up. So yeah, Transfiguration is less about creativity and more about discipline. It's Hogwarts' way of saying, let's see if you can follow instructions before we give you something that explodes. Charms. Professor Flitwick is tiny but bursting with energy, and he makes this class one of the most fun at Hogwarts. He's the kind of teacher who could make even the most boring spell feel like a magic trick. Students learn how to levitate objects with the spell Wingardium Leviosa, light up rooms with Lumos, summon lost books with Accio, and even make things dance around the common room. But don't be fooled by the fun side. Charms take skill. It's about intention and precision. Too soft and nothing happens. Too much force and suddenly your quill's doing somersaults across the ceiling. Charms are really the foundation of everyday magic. The spells you see people casually use in the wizarding world to light candles, unlock doors and mend clothes. It's practical, it's flashy, and it's where every student first feels like, okay, yeah, I'm officially a wizard now. Potions. If you head down into the cold, dark dungeons echoing with the sound of bubbling cauldrons, you'll find the Potions class. Under Professor Severus Snape's watchful glare, even the air feels 10 times heavier. Every ingredient has to be sliced exactly right, stirred in the right direction, and added at the perfect moment. Mess it up, and the smell of burnt fluxweed will haunt your robes for weeks. Potions is like a mix between chemistry and witchcraft. You're dealing with ingredients that can heal, poison, or completely transform someone, like Polyjuice Potion, which lets you take another person's form. It's genius, dangerous, and absolutely not beginner-friendly. Snape runs his class like an interrogation. Calm voice, icy stares, and zero tolerance for mistakes. But beneath all that, Potions teaches something deeper. Patience. In a world full of flashy spells and wand work, Potion reminds you that real power often takes time and focus. Defense against the dark arts. When Hogwarts failed to teach its students how to defend themselves, they decided to take matters into their own hands. Under Harry's quiet leadership, a group of students formed Dumbledore's Army, a secret class held in the Room of Requirement. Here they learned real defense, spells that could shield, disarm, and protect. But more than that, they learned unity, confidence, and purpose. It became more than a club. It became a family built on defiance and belief in what was right. This group proved that education isn't always about following rules. Sometimes it's about standing up when no one else will. It was the purest kind of Hogwarts lesson, born from courage, guided by friendship, and powered by the belief that ordinary people can make extraordinary change. Flying lessons. The first time most students truly feel magic is when they leave the ground. Flying lessons with Madam Hooch are equal parts thrill and terror. The moment when you realise the broom isn't just an object, it's an extension of your will. The lesson starts simple, learning control, balance, and confidence. But once that broom rises, fear fades into freedom. For Harry, this was the moment everything changed, when talent revealed itself, not through study or spells, but instinct. Flying teaches more than technique. It teaches trust in yourself, in your reflexes, and in the wind beneath you. Every witch and wizard remembers their first flight. It's the first taste of magic that feels alive. Herbology. Greenhouses at Hogwarts are far from ordinary gardens. They're alive in every sense of the word. Inside, Professor Sprout's herbology class turns simple plant care into a survival lesson. The mandrake repotting lesson stands out most. Beneath the soil lies a root that looks and acts disturbingly human, and its cry can knock a person unconscious. Students must learn to handle it safely. Careful grip, firm motion, and quick precision. Herbology isn't just about plants, it's about respect. You have to listen to the earth, understand its rhythm, and work with it. It teaches patience and care, traits that most wizards don't realize are essential. Plus, almost every potion ingredient comes from plants, so it's the quiet backbone of a lot of other magic. Astronomy. While most classes take place under vaulted ceilings and torchlight, astronomy happens under the open sky. Late at night, students climb the spiral staircase to the tallest tower, telescopes in hand, surrounded by the cold air and the quiet hum of the stars. It's not a subject filled with drama or danger, but it's one of the most grounding. Students learn the position of planets, the phases of moons, and how celestial movement influences everything from spellcasting to potion ingredients. It connects them to the vastness of the world beyond Hogwarts, a reminder that even in magic, there are laws greater than their own. Astronomy teaches patience, focus, and perspective. In a school filled with noise and chaos, this class gives students something rare: stillness. History of magic. If there's one class that could make a student question their life choices, it's this one. Taught by Professor Cuthbert Binns, who, fun fact, died in the staff room one day, woke up as a ghost, and just kept teaching. History of Magic is the only class literally taught by a dead guy, and honestly, that explains a lot. The subject itself, actually, fascinating. It covers the founding of Hogwarts, ancient magical wars, goblin rebellions, the rise and fall of dark wizards, basically everything that shaped the wizarding world. But Binns' droning voice could put even Hermione to sleep. Still, the irony is wild. The most boring class at Hogwarts teaches some of its most important lessons. Because if there's one thing magic keeps proving, it's that history always finds a way to repeat itself. Care of magical creatures. No class screams chaos quite like this one. Run by Hagrid, the half-giant with a heart bigger than his hut, Care of Magical Creatures is where students meet beasts they've only heard about in bedtime stories. Hippogriffs, thestrals, blast-ended scroots, it's basically a magical zoo without safety rules. The best part is how much heart this class has. Hagrid doesn't just teach creatures, he loves them. And that passion rubs off on the students, even when they're ducking from something that just sneezed fire. Care of Magical Creatures teaches empathy. It shows that magic isn't just about control, it's about coexistence. Plus, you can't help but root for Hagrid. He's that teacher who truly believes there's good in every beast, no matter how many claws it has. Divination. This is the most unpredictable class at Hogwarts. Held in a tower that smells like a mix of incense and dust, this is where Professor Trelawney teaches students how to see the future by reading tea leaves, gazing into crystal balls, and interpreting dreams. It's mysterious, theatrical, and honestly, a little questionable. Half the time it feels like Trelawney is making things up, but every now and then she drops a real prophecy that changes everything. Like when she told Harry of his dark future after seeing his teacup. The tricky part is that divination tests more than magical skill. It tests belief. You either trust your intuition or you don't. It's one of those classes that splits the room. Half the students think it's nonsense, the other half swear by it. Either way, it keeps everyone guessing, which, fittingly, is the point. Arithmancy. If numbers make your head spin, this class is your personal nightmare. Arithmancy, taught by the brilliant Professor Vector, explores the magical meaning behind numbers, how they influence spells, potions, even destinies. Think of it like math, but with a mystical twist. Every number has a vibration, a pattern, a purpose. Hermione absolutely loved it, which tells you all you need to know about how complicated it is. Most students stare at the charts like they're ancient riddles, but the few who truly get it, they unlock a deeper understanding of how magic works. It's not the flashiest subject, but arithmancy is proof that even magic follows a kind of logic. You just have to be smart enough to see it. Ancient runes. While everyone else is waving wands and blowing stuff up, ancient runes is the quiet side of magic, but also one of the most powerful. This class dives into old magical languages carved into stones and relics long before modern spells existed. Students learn how to read, translate, and sometimes even activate these runes. It's like being part historian, part spellbreaker. It's not glamorous, but it's essential. Every curse breaker at Gringotts, every magical archaeologist, they all start here. And there's something almost poetic about it. Ancient runes connect students to the oldest form of magic. Before wands, before potions, before Hogwarts itself. It's magic in its purest, most ancient form. The kind that doesn't just cast spells, it writes them. Muggle studies. Now, this one often gets a bad rap, mostly because some students think it's too easy. But honestly, Muggle studies is way more interesting than it sounds. It's all about understanding how non-magical people live, think and survive without spells or potions. Students learn about Muggle inventions, culture, and the clever ways they solve problems without using magic. It's a kind of reality check for young witches and wizards who think magic is the answer to everything. The irony? It's usually taught by someone who's never actually lived like a Muggle. Still, the lesson behind it runs deep. It teaches empathy, perspective, and humility. Because sometimes the most magical thing isn't a spell, it's seeing how ordinary people build extraordinary lives without one. The pixie lesson. The Defense Against the Dark Arts position has seen its fair share of questionable instructors, but no class proved more chaotic than the day Professor Gilderoy Lockhart let loose Cornish pixies. Initially it was supposed to be a fun demonstration, but in reality it was pure pandemonium. The moment the cage opened, dozens of mischievous blue creatures filled the air, knocking over books, tugging at hair, and turning the classroom upside down. It didn't take long for the students to realize their professor had no idea what he was doing because he ran away and left them to fend for themselves. It was messy, loud, and ridiculous. But in that disaster came an unexpected lesson. The students learned more about teamwork, quick thinking, and staying calm under pressure than any lecture could have taught. It showed them that sometimes survival in the magical world depends not on fancy spells, but on instinct, composure, and a bit of courage when everything falls apart. Werewolves and animagi. After Lupin's mysterious absence, the class took a sharp turn under Snape's temporary instruction. The topic shifted to werewolves, a subject loaded with tension. Students learned the difference between those cursed to transform and those who could change at will. The contrast between an animagus and a werewolf revealed a harsh truth about magic. Choice is everything. One transformation is controlled, the other is a prison. The lesson had a colder tone than usual, but it forced everyone to see the line between power and loss of control and the cost of crossing it. Even without realizing it, the class was learning more than theory. They were glimpsing the personal pain behind their teacher's words. The Patronus charm. When Lupin returned, the tone shifted again back to hope. The Patronus charm is advanced magic, far beyond what students are expected to perform. It's used to repel Dementors, the darkest creatures imaginable, by summoning a projection of pure light. But the real challenge isn't the spell itself, it's the emotion behind it. To conjure a Patronus, one has to reach deep within and relive the happiest memory possible. It's the kind of magic that can't be faked because it comes from who you are, not what you've learned. Watching Harry finally produce his Patronus wasn't just a sign of talent. It was proof that even in a world filled with darkness, a bit of light born from memory, love, and will can push it back. The unforgivable curses. There are 3 unforgivable curses: control, torture, and death. Magic so twisted that using any of them means a lifetime in Azkaban. The lesson was brutal but necessary. It stripped away the idea that magic is all wonder and light, showing instead what happens when power is used without restraint or morality. These curses don't just hurt others, they change the person who casts them. Seeing them demonstrated was shocking, but it also planted an understanding every witch and wizard must carry. Knowing magic is one thing, understanding its consequences is another. The art of closing the mind. When private lessons with Snape began, Harry discovered a different kind of defense, one without wands or spells. Occlumency is about protecting the mind from intrusion, a battle fought entirely within. The process is draining, and Snape's approach is anything but gentle. It's not just about blocking thoughts, it's about discipline, self-awareness, and control. For the first time, Harry had to confront his own emotions instead of acting on them. It's one of the toughest lessons Hogwarts ever presented, because it goes beyond magic. It forces a person to master themselves, something no spell can do for you. The Draught of Living Death. When Professor Slughorn returned to Hogwarts, the dungeons came alive again, this time filled with curiosity instead of fear. His lesson on brewing the Draught of Living Death wasn't just another potion assignment. It was a test of instinct and technique, rewarding creativity as much as precision. The challenge was simple. Brew the perfect potion and the best student would win a vial of Felix Felicis, also known as liquid luck. But beneath the competition lay a deeper point, the idea that true skill in magic often comes from intuition, not blind obedience to instructions. The Draught of Living Death taught that magic isn't a checklist, it's a craft. It rewards those who understand its flow, its rhythm, and its subtlety.